Mhm. All right. We are live right here on the Tipping Point Morning Show. We got a great show for you guys this morning. We're gonna let's see, get some sharing in here and get it going on. Got a lot of beautiful things to talk about this morning. Father's Day is tomorrow, so we're gonna talk about men's health and all that good stuff. Well, you ready there, partner?
Man, I am ready. Let's rock it.
All right, let's go ahead and get this thing moving here. Push this train along.
You are listening to The Tipping Point Show with your host, Mr. Just Ask Joe, John Yeah. Right here on WLOU. Stream it live on Facebook and WLOUonline.com. And now, The Tipping Point Show.
All right. You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and probably knock a couple commercials out here in a second, but man, we got a fantastic show here.
Yes, we do.
It is myself, Mr. Just Ask Joe, yours truly, and my brother from another mother, brother Esoteric Concepts, John Ya himself. Brother, how you doing this week?
Man, I am awesome. It's been a beautiful week. Definitely experienced for real. Definitely dealing with stocks and seeing everything going down and back up again. It's remarkable and learning the trade game, but definitely learned a lot this week. Been busy as hell, and so I'm just glad to be here, brother.
Man, you know the biggest thing with those stocks, man, is you have to remove emotion. You know what I
Yes,
mean? You have to remove emotion, but the thing about it is that the big dogs they play off of our emotions,
yes, they
right?
do.
They know exactly how people think, what they gonna do, so they play off our emotions. And I tell you what, they sit back and they put news out based on what they want people to do. So if they want people to sell, they're gonna put some negative news out. People
So
gonna be like, "Oh, I better take my money out now." And then what does that do? That creates a big old sale for them to go those whale investors to dive right in and scoop up a whole lot. And that's why they call them whale investors. They dive right in and they scoop up a whole lot. And that's how it works. And they know that the price is going to go back up, but they know that the immediate emotion is for the price to go down because people are selling, and that floods the market with a whole lot more inventory, so to speak, and makes the price go down. So boom, people go buy, and those whale investors, they're gonna dive in, buy it all up. Price gonna go back up, and it's gonna keep doing what it's gonna do anyway because they already knew that. You
right,
know,
exactly.
it could be a stock that's based on a traffic light. Well, hell, we still need traffic lights, so they ain't going nowhere. So that stock's gonna continually go up. So interesting stuff, and I definitely agree with you when it comes to the watching it go up, go down. Trump was actually good for stocks because when he came out, every time he mentioned the company, it didn't matter whether it was negative press or positive. When he mentioned the company, what people started learning to do, go and research that company
Correct.
because in a second their stock's about to go up.
Yeah.
And I think that he and his administration knew what they were doing, giving opportunities to the regular folk who paid attention to
Mm,
go in and make some money. And
mm.
and that's one thing that people didn't see. But again, when we're caught up in emotion, you know what I mean? Then
Yeah,
we get caught up in the emotions.
that paying attention piece is the key. Paying attention.
Yeah, we need to start charging. Actually, that way people will start paying attention. But hey, shout out to, man, y'all get me sometimes with these names. I'm not gonna lie. but I'm gonna say Nechi Taifa. I'm hoping I'm doing that right. But you know, if I don't, then I'm gonna just call you NT. Either way. Shout out to you. Shout out to you, Tamala White. That is man. That's like 20 years friend right there. Shout out to Phyllis Satia Churchill Myers. Shout out to you, sis. Queen right there. Grand Rising, Health Daddy. Wow.
That's my brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we got a fantastic show. Did did we ever get in touch with LaCreis?
I sent her a link this morning. I actually tagged her in the flyer too. She responded. So
okay,
let's see if she rides in. But you know, we got brother Dr. Akmal. So you know, again, the Father's Day thing, and you know what they should have? They should create a grandparent day. I mean, man, let me tell you something about being a grandparent. It is awesome, man. It's awesome. And they should have a day where grandparents are recognized, right? Because it's a beautiful thing to be a grandparent.
That's sad. We don't have a grandparents' day. We should, you know.
Yeah, we should.
There absolutely should be a grandparents' day. Well, here, we're going to go to commercials real quick. And when we come back, folks, we will go ahead and bring on one of our favorites right here, brother Akmal Muwwakkil, and I'm hoping I did that right too. So either way, I'm seeing a nod from him in the back office there. So I think I did that right. We'll be right back, folks.
Thank you, Truth Be Told, for allowing God's Lives Matter to be a sponsor. Wearable products, as the purple t-shirt, is bearing witness. Every life created by God has infinite value. Visit God'sLivesMatter.com.
I don't need to sit at your table. We building one. We in the process of building a table. We building a table. I don't gotta sit at your table. I'm building my own table, and I will build you a table in the presence of your enemies.
Hey folks, check out HealthDaddyWow.net. 100% plant-based herbs and supplements. Whether you're in person or online, use the word tipping for 10% off. Remember, feel better, look great, HealthDaddyWow.net. Remember, HealthDaddyWow.net.
Habibi Trading Company, home of soap, sticks, and Saya Baba products. Over 400 locations at a store near you. Cincinnati, Ohio, Louisville and Lexington, Kentucky, Southern Indiana, or find yours online at sayababa.com. Again, that's sayababa.com. Habibi Trading Company, where you can find fragrances to incite your senses.
You are listening to The Tipping Point Show with your host, Mr. Just Ask Joe, John Yeah. Right here on WLOU. Stream it live on Facebook and WLOUonline.com. And now, The Tipping Point Show.
So right here, folks, we have Men's Health, a tribute to Father's Day. All right, Father's Day, a very special day. And I tell you what, later in the show, I'll pull up something from a comedian that had some special things to say about Father's Day. But right now, without further ado, we want to bring in again our brother from another mother, brother Dr. PhD Akmal Muwwakkil. Brother, welcome to the Tipping Point Morning Show. How you doing there?
I'm good. Thank you. And how you doing this morning? On this great morning that God has blessed us with once again. You know what I'm saying? I mean, listen.
Absolutely.
When you wake up in the morning, you can't do nothing but say I'm blessed and definitely highly favored. You know, because the fact that you got that chance to do that piece all over again. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, right.
So the factor of that is that I have to say I'm doing as good as God allowed me to do at this point in my life.
Absolutely. Well, you're looking good. And I tell you, with an intro like that, man, especially when the sun's out, I definitely agree with you, man. And I'll be honest, that's when it's easy to jump up in the morning and say yes, but we got to learn how to have that same energy, even when it's clouds outside.
No question.
You know what I mean? Absolutely. So,
something that blew my mind when I was 18 years old, living in the lower development neighborhood, we never got to ride on a plane. And so when Sam called me, Sam put you on the bird and send you to where they want you to go. Yes. And so it was a cloudy day, it was raining and cloudy. And so when we went through the clouds and I saw the sun, that just blew my mind. Okay, because you never realize unless you understand that the clouds are just blocking the sun at a specific time. Because once that cloud moves, the sun is always going to be there.
Absolutely. So that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, that's what make a cloudy day beautiful, because sun's coming next. The sun's got to come behind it.
Absolutely. We're gonna go ahead and if it's cool with you, brothers, we want to bring our sis to the stage here.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And I'm gonna give her a second here because I know she's getting positioned and everything. And without further ado, Dr. once again, PhD, LaCreis Kid, welcome to the stage, sis. We appreciate you. How you doing there?
Thank you so much. I feel so honored to be a part of this virtual forum to talk about men's health issues.
We are glad to have you. Like he said, y'all are favorites. So we love having y'all on the show, right? So thank you for coming.
Happy to.
Very much welcome.
Absolutely. So I want to continue to give a couple shout outs because everybody is tuning in this morning. Shout out Grand Rising Keisha Williams. Excuse me. Grand Rising Yahir. Grand Rising to you. And we got, again, no, for real, being a grandparent is lit. Absolutely. Let's see. Layla Hampton, Grand Rising sis. Absolutely. She says, Mahotep, Dr. Akmal. All right, good stuff. And happy Father's Day. Happy Black Father's Day everywhere.
Thank you.
And peace, Dr. Kid. So, as we get this thing moving, then I just want to kind of just say that Father's Day is an interesting holiday. I think if you look it up, it's like number 20 on the list of celebrated holidays. And in between 1 and 20, there's like a whole lot of stuff that we don't even know what it is. Most of us don't even know what these holidays are. First and foremost, why do y'all think Father's Day is so lowly celebrated or considered in this country? Who wants to take that?
Well, that's interesting. You know, for the most part, it all depends. Like, for instance, we recognizing fathers on this day. However, and you know, it's cool, it's pretty good, you know, but your measure of a father is your children. That's how you measure how good of a father you are, is based on your children. So there's some men are not are not inclined for celebrating this day if they're not participating in their yearly father, you know, role, because it's a role you play, it's a character you are, right? And so it's recognized and it feels good. It's okay to be, you know, acknowledge, hey, thank you, dad, or, you know, happy Father's Day. That's very cool. But understand this is that your measure of a father is based on your children. And so that's how you measure it. And I look at it for myself as an everyday thing. I think, you know, sitting down and talking with my daughter every day and spending time with her and my grandchild, that's how it's measured. And so basically it's, you know, it's an internal thing. Each man would have to look at himself and ask, what is he celebrating if he's in that role? You know what I'm saying? Because again, it's an everyday thing. Every day you should wake up realizing that you're a great person in what you're doing for your kids and for the woman too on Mother's Day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree. Anybody else want to jump on that? Dr. Akmal there.
Got you muted?
Yeah, okay. There is. Yeah, you know, the other piece about that, John, and what you're saying is very much true. The other piece about that is the fact that biologically the child doesn't have to belong to that particular male.
Correct.
For that male to be a father. Okay. It's about the concepts, the ideas that male portrays to that child to help that child or guide that child through their life. That makes that person a father. You know, and so, you know, one of the things that I say to brothers is that if you with a woman and she has children and they're not biologically yours, by you being with that woman, they're your children. And so part of your job is not to just be with mom, but part of your job is to also see how you can assist the children as you assist mom in your love affair.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I'm glad you said that, because you're right. When a man is marrying or getting into a family or a relationship with the woman, he also marries the child. He's also in a relationship with the children.
That's right.
Yep. And I know personally, even from personal experience, you know, I have a stepdaughter, and you know, I don't necessarily call her stepdaughter. I just call her daughter.
That's right.
But ultimately it's and me and the mom knocked heads just a little bit in the beginning, and I had to let her know. I had to say, listen, you know, I can't stop this thing that's inside of me that just allows me to father. Like it's an innate thing inside of me that allows me to do this fathering thing, and I can't change that. I can't stop that. So, you know, I can't turn that off. I'm going to always, if I see something, I'm going to say something, you know, and that's how I believe it to be. And so as time has moved on, then, you know, things have come to a greater understanding and all that good stuff, and everything's kosher. But, you know, I think that is something even just the same, well, as we talk about this. But as we get into this piece about men's health, on this Father's Day weekend, I'd love to have Dr. LaCreis give us a synopsis of your part in men's health, because there's a reason why we bring you to the table for a conversation like this, just the same as well as any other health conversation. But you have a very unique part to play in this men's health. So if you will, grace us with that understanding. I appreciate it.
Yes. So just again, you know, my name is Dr. LaCreis Kidd, but I go by LaCreis. And wow, for the past, hate to admit it, but almost over 30 years, maybe about 30 years, I've been studying. Okay, maybe not 30 years. I'm acting like I'm 60. So over 20 years, I've been studying prostate cancer, which is a disease that only affects men because you must have a prostate in order to
Real
get
men.
prostate cancer. And one year, sometimes you think of prostate cancer as a disease that, yes, it only afflicts men, but it also affects women. You know, while they're going through the cancer, after they've been treated for cancer, it's like, a disease that can have some really serious consequences.
So when you say it affects women as well, I mean, in my head, I have this thought of where you're going with that. But let's dig in a little bit. How does that particular men's health issue affect the women in their lives, or the woman, the wife, however you say it there?
Right. So it really depends on how far that disease progresses. So typically, if the prostate is in stage 1 or even stage 2, it has a very high survival rate, or success rate. I'm talking like close to 100%. And there are 4 stages of prostate cancer. The higher up you go in the stage, the more aggressive the disease and the less responsive it is to available treatment. And treatment may take in the form of surgery, which I think they probably leave that to some of the more earlier stages of disease. And then you have chemotherapy and radiation therapy. And in some cases, they might do a combination of therapies. Now, if a man decides to have, okay, so first there's the phase of, oh, I have cancer. And then, a lot of men, especially Black men, tend to delay their decision toward treatment. That has its own separate issues in terms of allowing that tumor to grow bigger, become more aggressive, and again, less responsive to treatment. But, there's a psychosis that some men go through. Well, people in general, let's be clear, in terms of like, okay, I have cancer, then fear sets on. Sometimes denial sets in. And then I think there's another layer with men where, and I get it, where they feel like they're going to lose some of their manhood. And so they may choose not to do anything. So how would that affect the woman? So one, it could be an issue with sleep deprivation. I know that sounds kind of odd, right? But when a man has prostate issues, he's going to have to get up constantly during the night to be able to go to the bathroom. So that means that there's going to be like a lot of broken sleep for him and his wife or his partner or whoever he's with. Okay. And when you have broken up sleep, that can cause a whole bunch of other health issues. Okay. Because you're messing with your circadian rhythm. And then you have the issue of, I guess when he does try to go to the bathroom, like that flow is just not the way it was when he was in his teens and 20s. Like, it's like dripping out almost. And so then the woman, I mean, if she's a caring person, she really cares about her man, she's going to be on him, like nagging him, like, you have to go to the doctor, something is wrong. And then you have that constant tension, because a lot of men, especially Black men, like, they do not want to go to the doctor. Like, a woman has to like almost threaten him, you know, to get him to go to the doctor, or just kind of like take control and say, look, you have a doctor's appointment and you're going. Or even doing things like, listen, I'm gonna call the ambulance truck and they're gonna come and get you. Like, you just have to do some drastic things sometimes to get a man to go to the hospital.
It's such a prideful thing, especially within our culture. You know, we tend to not go to the doctor as much. It's interesting how that is.
Well, one of the things is stemmed from the not trusting doctors. I know my father didn't trust white coat doctors, and so that led down to me not wanting to go to one. And I seek out holistic health. I still don't like white coat doctors, but I'll go to Dr. Akmal in a minute about something. So I get that fear, because you don't want to be cut on, and that's all they want to talk about: pills and cut you.
One of the things that we also should look at is the fact that if we go back to slavery, you know, during slavery, you know, men would be working in the field, and, you know, we had no real doctors then that per se who you could go to. So men would be aching and all of that. And the women would be like you said, the women would be trying to get them to take care of themselves. But because of the factor of that has grown in us over the years to the point where you're right, we don't do white coat doctors.
Dr. LaCreis, do Black male is a higher risk for Black men opposed to white men in getting prostate cancer?
Absolutely. So Black men are 60% more likely to receive a prostate cancer diagnosis, and they're twice more likely to die.
Wow.
From the disease.
Okay. Why is that?
Well, some of it hinges on some of the things that I've discussed in terms of, so when they actually get the disease, there's a huge delay in their decision to get treated or treated at all. The longer you wait to get treated, then your options for a treatment that's going to allow resolve of the cancer begins to diminish.
That goes back to trust.
Then I and others believe, and some may not like this, but hey, it is what it is.
Okay.
Before I get to that, I'm gonna go back to the basics. So one question could be, you know, is there a difference in the early detection of prostate cancer? So that could be one factor, but I've looked at the data and it doesn't appear to be a big, well, maybe not in the past few years, because there's layers to this. Okay. Because there's this agency, I forget their name, but they actually decided that we were going to use this particular blood marker called the prostate specific antigen, or known as PSA, that you can use. It's a simple blood test, and they can look at your PSA level to gauge whether you would be at high risk for developing prostate cancer. So some may use like a cutoff of, and I won't even get into the specific units, but if you have a level of 2, and some might use 4 units as a cutoff level for your PSA, then that would place you at higher risk for developing prostate cancer. Well, in recent years, they decided to kind of get rid of those recommendations. But and guess who was affected by it, that decision, the most? Black men. Why? Because I think what happened, I think white men probably insisted, regardless of the guidelines, go on and take my PSA. And then they govern themselves accordingly in terms of the treatment. Whereas there was probably a diminish of, number one, men even going to get their PSA tested. And then for those who did, they may have received a score, but then I bet probably what happened is that maybe they received a score that was like borderline, and then the doctor may have said, and I'm speculating, but I think my speculation lines up with some of the new data that's coming out. And I bet the doctor said, let's do what they call waitful watching. You're kind of like a borderline case, not sure which direction this PSA testing is going to go. And I bet you the black man said, bet. we just going to watchfully wait, bet. I'm going to just go on about my business. And, or even if the doctor says, let's say they did what they call a core needle biopsy, where they literally poke and prod of different areas of the prostate, and then they'll send those samples or those biopsies to pathology to try to assess whether the man has cancer, and if so, about what stage. And then if the doctor comes back and says, oh, well, you're only stage 1, so the tumor is not big enough for us to really do anything about it. And again, the black man will say, cool, I'm gonna just go on about my business, as opposed to seeking advice yet from another doctor who might say, oh, this disease is easily treatable. We could, either go in there and do a minor, do a surgery, or maybe we could give you something, or maybe you could, grossly change your diet. Not that a doctor would say that. Some might. I have a friend who was.
My dad went through that. My dad was diagnosed with prostate cancer a few years back, and in his diet, he would indulge in chicken from time to time. Love chicken wings and fish. So those were two of his meat staples that he would indulge in from time to time. So when the doctor and I've heard, that's another thought there, or talk, because I've heard a lot of controversy over the idea of PSA being a valid test at this point. I've heard even other doctors say that it's not a great test for looking at cancer levels and stuff like that. But so that's a question there for you, Dr. LaCreis.
So the thing is, like the PSA, yes, it can give you some what they call false positives. Mm-hmm. So, and I'll give you a concrete example. A friend of mine went to the hospital. He had a skyrocket high PSA level. I'm talking 100. And I could see like immediately, like he was like really scared and became immediately depressed, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, just follow up, just go and, check this out, because this is the thing. If a man gets like a bladder infection, that can cause an elevation of the PSA levels. Mm-hmm. So sometimes, if you go to your urologist, or you just happen to go to the ER for something else, and they just happen to check your PSA level and it's elevated, maybe try not to get so alarmed with it, because it could be something else. And so what your in fact, I have, what the doctor may need to do is maybe just test you for some other things, make sure you don't have any other underlying issues. Maybe if you have a bladder infection or urinary tract infection, then you give you some antibiotics, see if your PSA level comes back down, in normal range, and then, blah, blah, blah. And then you can have the reverse where, you take a test and then your level is low. That's what but you have cancer. That's what you call a false negative. So the test, no, it's not by any means perfect. But when they decided, like I was saying, when they decided to not do the recommendation of having to go to PSA, who did it hurt? It hurt Black men.
Let me ask you this for everyone that's listening. What is the function of the prostate, and can a man live without it?
I'm about to make an argument for these new age avatar men out here.
That's a good question, and I would like it if we did have a urologist on here. I believe the prostate is important for the fluids that would permit a man to be able to ejaculate. And so I'm less clear about whether the surgical removal of the prostate would prevent that man from being able to, how do you say? Okay, come on, guys, help me out here.
Okay, so if I can.
Yo, come on.
Okay, so when they take out his prostate, first off, the prostate, male sperm is alkaline. And so a woman's vagina is acidic, and her pH balance is 3.5 to 4.8. And so what prostate fluids do is they help the sperm to get into and move through the vagina. That's what that does. When they take out the prostate, you become impotent. Straight up. That's why Viagra and Cialis and other things of that nature come to pass. So when we start talking about prostate, we talk about it in terms of men's health, but we talk about it in terms of men's pride, because of the fact that when that prostate isn't functioning properly, the soldier don't stand up in the morning, and the brother's faith in himself, begins to diminish because of the fact that when you with a sister, and that sister is fine, in all kinds of ways, you be like, and the brother be saying, I ain't doing that.
The two heads ain't matching up there.
Right, the brain saying yes, but the lower brain saying, I'm going back to bed.
You see, you guys put it so eloquently. See, I was gonna probably use some harsh terminology, but
so I mean, right there, that kind of says something though. That says that if a man is dealing with some impotency issues, he shouldn't be looking. It sounds like the first thing he should do is go get his prostate checked out. That might be like a number one thing if you are, you in your 40s, 50s, especially, and you dealing with, some can't get it ups, then you should probably go get your prostate checked out. Like that, and I know some guys that, gone through some things like that. And really just to finish off, when my dad was diagnosed, what he did was he just backed off of the meat The doctor told him, hey, what do you want to do? You want to do medication? You know, it's slow moving. You know, you can come back in a year and we'll check it out. You want to do some medication in the meantime? My dad said no. And, you know, knowing what he knew, he went home, backed off on the meat, and, you know, added a few more vegetables in there and did some more meditation. Was something that he focused on. He would wake up in the morning and I don't know what he was imagining, but he would basically wake up and think about having a healthy soldier. So that was part of his healing process. He went back a year later, no cancer found. So,
right. Dr. Akmal, what is it that a brother can do or stop doing to keep a healthy prostate?
So let me go back to something that John said, and then I'll get to you. So the piece of that is that one of the studies that I read on prostate is that I'm in my 70s, and so if I got if a person in their 70s got prostate cancer and someone in their 40s got prostate cancer, that person who is younger has more of a chance to transpire than a person that's in their 70s. Now, they didn't explain why that was, okay, but they talked about that. Now, when you start talking about prostate, when you start talking about health, and especially men's health, what you have to talk about, as I always talk about, is that elbow. You know that elbow? Yeah, that elbow when your elbow bends and your mouth flies open, and what you putting in it. And so when we start to eat a lot of fatty foods, that begins to clog stuff. It begins to clog arteries. It also affects the prostate. And so that's one of the reasons why a lot of men have prostates. You know, they over there at the greasy spoon trying to get that grease to eat because of the fact that they don't want to eat them vegetables. And so and your father was right when he backed off of the red meat because of the factor of the fatty acids in the red meat is and the dyes, okay, that's what's causing that. So when we start talking that, one of the first things that men should get is zinc. You need to put in that zinc, and you need to put in 100, no more than 100 milligrams of zinc a day. And when I treat men for prostate or other or other men's related issues, what I do is I tell them to take the zinc, take 100 milligrams of zinc and 3 milligrams of copper. See, because when you take zinc, you got to understand that micronutrients, which are minerals and vitamins, are synergistic. And so when you put in one, you got to put in another one to maintain its balance. So one of the pieces that I have them do is the zinc and the copper, so that the zinc doesn't misplace the copper, and then they start to talk about, well, my brain's foggy, or I'm starting to get this tingling and numbness. So that's one of the pieces that I have them do. The other piece that I have them to do is to start to eat foods that are in season. Okay, because when they eat the foods in seasons, they're getting more nutrients than they would if they were eating foods out of season. And when they start to eat foods in season, now what happens is that now you start to also work on digestion. See, because we got to put digestion in that play of them getting of men receiving nutrients. The prostate is in a state of disharmony because of the fact of a lack of absorption of nutrients, and because of the fact that you're dealing with the body not being able to absorb the nutrients. And because it's not able to absorb the nutrients, what now happens is that now you have that deficiency. And then the other piece is have them to start taking vitamin D, and don't take no more than 800 milligrams of vitamin D. And that's because of the fact that vitamin D helps the immunity that keeps away the free radicals that are caused by the the oils that they're eating, the fatty acids that they're eating. And so when you put the vitamin D in, and if you put it in over 800, if you start, some people say take 5,000 milligrams of vitamin D. Well, now you're setting yourself up for also attracting things like lead and arsenic and other poisons that vitamin D will help to get into the system. When you take, and one more thing, when you take the vitamin D, you should be taking calcium, magnesium, boron, I think I said vitamin C, and magnesium, because they help them to get into, it helps it to get in the vitamin D to get into the system. And summer is the best time, summer and winter are the best time to take vitamin D.
Now this question here about, go ahead.
Go ahead, John.
Go ahead, Dr. LaCreis.
I would think that one of the things that I'm concerned about, I do agree with everything that you've said, in terms of taking supplements. You do have to take the right supplement, so you really do have to do your research. And I did come across, because I actually taught this class to dental students, and it was like a nutrition class, but it focused more on dietary supplements. And there's a specific brand that's a really decent quality. When I find that, I'll share that with you guys so that you can share that with others. I think it's Nature something, and you can find it at Walgreens.
Oh, Nature's Way.
I think so.
Yeah.
That one is a really good brand, because they do their quality control analysis and all of that. That way, that what's in that bottle, that's what you have. Not all dietary supplements are created equal. Okay. And you may have to spend just a little bit more money than, the brand that you can buy at the other brands you can buy at Walgreens or Kroger's or whatever.
No. What about this question here about the aging? As a man gets older, is he more at risk for prostate just because of the age?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is true, but it's not something that's unique to just prostate cancer. We see that with many all kinds of cancers or any kind of disease. As you age, your likelihood for getting the disease will increase, as well as your chances for death. But that is a good question, where you raise, but why? That's something that I've always just accepted. This is just a fact that just gets drilled in your head. But yeah, the question would still remain is why. But I do want to kind of I want to underscore, yes, your supplements are fine, but we in general, not only the men, but especially the women, like we have to get our diets together, and the women have to take better care to make sure that they're giving men the foods that are going to be good for them. Like, no, I'm sorry. Like, you're not a good wife if you're feeding your man ribs and hamburgers, big fat steak. Like, no, you're not doing him any justice by doing that.
We need to have a conference. We need a conference on that. That's what we need a conference on, is because I do believe I am of the opinion that women are the nurturers, and what she cooks is what he'll eat. If she cooks healthy, he gonna eat healthy. It's just that simple. He gonna follow whatever it is whatever it is being cooked in that kitchen.
So most of the women are doing the shopping, so a lot of the responsibility falls on us. And, I'm a bit, I don't know, I feel in a way, even though, like, even here in Kentucky, I notice a lot of people, both men and women, they eat out.
Yes.
Let me tell you, it's okay to eat out every now and then, but that should not be your default. It should not. Like, you should not eat your breakfast, lunch, and dinner outside. You think it may be convenient for you or whatever. But let me tell you something. Do something like watch the Food Network channel. Just binge watch it just for one Saturday or Sunday. And what you're going to find is that they do things to the meat. They call it, they even have a fancy name for it, but they'll take your meat. It could be fish, chicken, beef, veal, whatever. You know what they do? They marinate it in fat.
That's right.
Well,
And that
if you
meat,
look
it
at
tastes so good.
coming
But
from
it
the
has-
culinary world, you know, in culinary school, they teach that fat is flavor.
Right.
And you know, here in America, we got our cooking from you know, basically the way that we cook is of the French understanding, and it's all about fat. Fat is flavor. I remember the first time I cooked some greens with no meat in it. You know, people were asking me, how can you do that? Like, they were legitimately, literally asking me that, and I'm like, are you serious? Like, do you not know herbs and spices, salt, pepper? I mean, you know, there's other ways to make this taste good. You ain't got to do the ham hocks. I didn't grow up with ham hocks. You know, my son right now visiting from out of town. You know, hopefully his mother's not watching, but they eat out all the time, and so much so that now, as he's here, we're cooking every day, and his mother sends me a message, say, hey, can you be our Hello Fresh? Can you prepare meals and go ahead and you know, freeze it and send it out to us? Because he told them how much we cook, and when you talk to him, he doesn't know nothing about that. You know, mom don't cook every day. You know, dad, you know, his stepfather don't cook every day. They eat out mostly. So that's something that, you know, has become a big staple in our society. And by the way, as you were talking about the greasy spoon, Dr. Akmal, I went and looked it up, and there is a restaurant called the Greasy Spoon. So I wanted to go check and see, you know, I know you were talking about eating habits, but I was like, you know what, I bet you that's the name of a restaurant. I went and it is in Houston, Texas. Absolutely.
You know, when we start talking about cancers, when we start talking about men's health, you know, and you got to talk about the fact that men's health, everybody's health, has to do with what we eat, what we put in our mouth. That's why I always say, you know, it has to do with your elbow. The factor of it is that what we eat and how we eat. That's like a man with a prostate issue. His thyroid should also be checked, okay, to make sure that the endocrine system is functioning, because the endocrine system is part of that. From traditional Chinese medicine, and you know, that's part of what I do. You're talking about his kidneys. You're talking about the factor of how many aunts and uncles does he have on his mother's side? How many aunts and uncles does he have on his father's side? So all of that is interplayed in that as well. It also has to do with the fact of what he digests. Now, when I talk about digest, you know, we have the digestive system, which is the most powerful system in the world. That's the most powerful system in our body. However, we also have to deal with the fact of how a person digests concepts, ideas, ideals, okay, those kinds of things. Because now, when we start to deal with stress, you see, we have to talk about the liver, and the liver stores the blood as well as it helps certain nutrients get into the body. The liver does over 500 different things, as I talked about, I think the last time, the cytochrome P450. But it does over 500 different things. And so the liver is the first responders of whatever we're doing. And so if digestion of the meal that you're eating, that's why I teach food combining. I got a course coming up next on Wednesday. And part of that course, I'll be talking about eating foods for the summer, healing for the summer, which also talks about food and food combining. You see, because if we understand we're a chemist and we're a chemistry factory, then we have to understand the fact that the food we're putting into our system is chemistry. And when we start talking about the prostate issues, we have to talk about the chemistry that has to deal with that prostate. See, because if we don't deal with chemistry and we keep dealing with them honey buns and that hamburger and them pig feet, you know, and that white bread, all of that, well, we can't do anything but create that mucus and create stagnation and not allow the chi. A lot of times when men have issues in the reproductive areas, that's like, you know, I treat men. I have products for men for their reproductive systems. Okay. So when men are having issues with their reproductive system, one of the things is that they have low chi or energy in their pelvis. Okay. What that chi, what that energy does, it moves blood into their pelvis so that they get nourishment. That part of the body has to be nourished too by nutrients. One of the things that men, prostate, that I deal with prostate cancer is I have them got to eat a lot of cruciferous vegetables, which are cabbage, kale, Brussels sprouts, broccoli. There's about 4 or 5 other ones on there. And I have them stay away from things like nightshades. Okay. Nightshades are bell peppers, what's that? It'll
Carrots.
come to me. No, carrots is not a nightshade. Carrots are not a nightshade. I can see it and it won't come out. It'll come out. But nightshades, potatoes, tomatoes, eggplants, and bell peppers. Those are nightshades. They all have selenine acid. And what selenine acid does is it causes pain and it removes certain nutrients from the body. So when we start looking at things of that nature, we start talking about it from a nutritional perspective. You know, we need to be able to put in green vegetables. Those green vegetables deal with chlorophyll. Chlorophyll proliferates the cells. Chlorophyll helps the blood to be cleansed. So that we don't have that. We don't have to get cancer. In traditional Chinese medicine, the body has to deal with fire and water. Your right kidney is fire, your left kidney is water. When fire and water is not functioning properly, what happens? What begins to happen, for instance, when we start talking about cancer, we start talking about toxic heat or toxic fire. And in that toxic fire, there's no water. Well, from a medical perspective and a nutritional perspective, we're talking about free radicals. So when you eat cruciferous vegetables, they get rid of free radicals. That's just like vitamin D. When you talk about the kidneys, you talk about the fact that if you can maintain the balance of your left kidney and your right kidney, what happens is that the body then creates the balance for itself, because now the fire and the water is balanced. You know, a lot of people, and there may be people who are on this call who are dealing with that acid alkaline balance, and they got machines that's giving them a pH balance of 9. What people don't realize is that when you go over 7.35, what happens is the fact that what happens is the fact that you take your blood out of its alignment. And so on that other side at 9, you can start to have cancer and arthritis. Okay, because bleach is at 14.
Exactly.
Okay. And that's just like it being at 5.3.
So when people, let me just ask you this. So when people think high alkaline is good in water, it's not good, especially if you're talking about the ones that was produced through a machine where it's been like electric shock to the water.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I mean, when you increase that pH like that, it's not good because of the fact that now you're putting a different stress on the body. And so, you know, when you keep it in its 7.35, no more than 8, what happens is that you keep your blood in alignment so that it can pick up the nutrients that you need.
Yeah, people are really this alkaline thing really took off, but a lot of people don't know that too much alkaline is bad for you. They think it's all good, and there's another side to that.
I think there's you know, there's an understanding that if you are cancerous, you know, if you have bred within your body a low oxygen acidic environment that has brought cancer forth, then high alkaline could help kill those cancer cells.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily.
Food, not water.
Right. Not necessarily.
Yeah. In the foods. Yeah.
Yeah. Now in the food, in the foods, and see what people don't realize is distilled water has a pH balance of 7.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. So that says that water is alkaline.
Right.
Okay. So why would you go buy a machine that cost you $5,000 to do what you could go get some water for? But when we start looking at that, we have to look at the fact of hydration. Because without hydration, what happens is we got fire. We got too much fire. Diabetes. Diabetes is a heat wasting disease. You got too much fire. So eventually what happens to diabetics is the fact that you wind up having dialysis. Which when you balance the left kidney, there's a formula, and you can look this up. It's called Lu Wei Di Wong Wen. It's a formula I make, and it's a Chinese formula. That formula, research has shown that formula reverses dialysis. Because what it does is it balances the left kidney. When we start looking at men's health, we have to look at the factor of a man's attitude towards his health. Because if we don't, then he's going to contract all diseases. The other pieces, and our sister was right. He got to respect the factor of what his woman's saying if she's working to put his eating habit back on track. But it's all about nutrients. And it's all about maintaining the oxygenational level of the body. When you start looking at chlorophyll puts oxygen into the blood. So that it then begins to fight against free radicals, and it adds water to the body. So the other piece of that is for men who are vegans. I always say check your blood type, because if you have old blood, then you need to supplement certain supplements because of the fact that your blood is not made to extract what's needed so that it can maintain its balance. So one of the ways to get some of that is mushrooms. You know, and with men with cancer, in one of my products, what I give them, and it's the polyporous. I have a product line for men. One of them is called Male Toner. Male Toner. What Male Toner does is that Male Toner is not about your erection, okay? Although it does help you with your erection. It's about putting nutrients into your body. That's what it is. Then Spec. That's another one. That one is specifically for prostate. Polyporous is mushrooms. So now you're talking about beta glucan, and what beta glucan does is beta glucan goes in and it actually enhances the cell's ability for the ATP, which is the adenyl triphosphates, which is Q10, to move through the cells so that the cells can maintain their health and wellness.
We did a thing on mental health. We did a whole month series of mental health, and we had a couple of mental health practitioners with us on this discussion. Now, when you talk about the gut, and one of the things I tell, even with my daughter was having some issues before of depression, and the first thing I talked about was before she go see a doctor and take those pills, how's your diet? What's going on with your diet? And immediately when she started taking the minerals that she was deficient in, it begins to change how she thought. How important it is, the gut health, to understand the gut health that does have an effect on our psychic, depression and stuff like that, to where doctor's not going to tell you that what you're eating, what are you not getting, if are you getting enough vitamin B12 or not vitamin B6. And so there are certain things that people don't understand about gut health and connected with depression and the things that we was talking about men go through mentally.
When you start talking about the gut, as I said, the digestive tract is the most powerful system of the body. And the small intestines, that's your gut. And that's where the doctor normally tells you that's your stomach. The next time the doctor tells you that's your stomach, tell them to stop lying to you. Your stomach is on your left quadrant of your ribs. When you start talking about the bacteria, the flora in your gut, what you're talking about is you're talking about the fact that if that gut flora is not healthy, then that's a site of all diseases, because what happens is that now you wind up having irritation in that area, and so what's dropping into the blood is waste byproducts from the food you're eating. If your belly is protruding, that's a sign that you're suffering from malabsorption and malnutrition. You can come to me for a hangnail. There are two things that you're going to walk out me telling you about. One of them is digestive enzymes. You can get them from any health food store. And the other is probiotics. And you're taking the digestive enzymes so that the food is broken down in its proper locations. The starch in the mouth, the protein in the stomach, the fats or lipids as they're called, and the sugars in the small intestines. In the program I'm doing next week, we're going to get into that, because summer is the season of the small intestines and the heart. So when you start looking at the small intestines, you're talking about the fact of it moving nutrients into the blood. There's a piece now doctors have started to recognize it called the leaky gut syndrome. And the leaky gut syndrome has to do with leaking of waste byproducts into the blood, which now is causing the cholesterol, which is causing the prostate cancer, which is causing other cancers because the blood is not being nourished. And so the gut is your most important piece. Also, when you start talking about the gut, you're talking about the second brain, okay? Right. Because of the fact that the nutrients from the gut roll up into the brain. And so if that is not happening in the manner that it should, then what's going to happen is you're going to have cognitive imbalances. A lot of this killing that we're seeing, violence, is because of the fact that these people are eating all of this garbage and it's in their gut. And that garbage is what's telling their brain to be violent. And so when you start talking about the gut, you're talking about one of the biggest elements of the body to absorb nutrients. And the gut has a interesting relationship on the small intestines. The liver, which does over 500 different processes in the body, nourishes, and the gallbladder nourishes the heart and the small intestines. If the liver is out of balance, then what's going to happen is it's going to treat its child with abuse, which is the heart and the small intestines, which now means that the small intestines isn't going to get its nutrients, And because the small intestines doesn't get its nutrients, what now happens? What now happens is that now the small intestines goes off like a child who hasn't been groomed properly by their parent.
Now, back in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, 60s, I don't know, probably in the 80s, this when all this, in the early 70s, when all this GMO and all this fake food started happening, where people back then, they were eating junk food, they were eating meats and breads. They weren't as unhealthy as we are today when we're looking at it today. How much does that play a role with the GMO foods that are people eating that are causing high prostate, diabetes, and heart disease and cholesterol problems?
It's causing a lot because of the fact that food is undigestible. It's unabsorbable. Okay. And when we got to understand this is organic. This body is organic. And when you put an inorganic substance into it, it says, yo, what the hell is this? What the hell are you doing here?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I can't work with that. That's like one of the reasons that we have side effects to pharmaceuticals is that same reason. That's why my patients who I provide herbs for and nutrients, micronutrients to, I have a policy of 5 and 2. 5 days on, 2 days off. So that when it goes into the body doesn't get overwhelmed. But when you're taking it 7 days a week, the body doesn't get a chance to do anything. So it says, so what the body says, okay, so I'm gonna go over here and go to sleep. And the toxics from it start to build up. And so the liver's starting to get angry. And when the liver gets angry, it starts to throw up stuff. That's that part of the liver getting angry is called acid reflux. When the liver starts attacking the stomach and the stomach's energy doesn't go down, it has to come back up.
Wow. Let me ask you, Dr. LaCreis, there's a program that UofL is putting together with some type of holistic health program they got going on. Let me ask you, why is it that allopathic doctors do not focus more on diet when it comes to that health, opposed to looking to medicine?
Right. Well, I'll speak to a little bit about the program you're speaking of. I just learned about it. One of my colleagues who, there's a whole team of us working on a grant, and I learned recently that he's creating this institute. I guess up until now, he's kind of studied how the environment plays a role in different diseases like heart disease, but a lot of the risk factors for heart disease are translatable to cancer. But now he's in a different phase of his career where he's more interested in how the environment can be used to prevent disease. So just trying to encourage physical activity, encouraging people to, and showing people how to eat healthy, cook healthy. In fact, I need to reach out to him, after learning about this. I mean, he's going to have like a building that's dedicated to this type of work. And I think it's going to be situated in the downtown area. And I'm really hoping I can be a part of that, even though I don't have a degree in nutrition or no certification, but I do have experience because I worked as a nutrition success coach for probably a good at least 5 years here. But the other part of your question, as to why allopathic doctors don't incorporate nutrition, I don't really know. But in terms of like medical doctors, they may not have a tendency to include nutrition because, to be honest, they really don't know a lot about it. In medical school, they are lucky if they get 1 or 2 hours that focus on nutrition. Personally, I think nutrition should be integrated in every class they receive. That's just my opinion.
Right. And I think if this program, as I was hearing about it, it could be a game changer. I'm only concerned who's ahead of it and the route that it will go. Will it really stay with naturopathic healing, or will it kind of ease over, to bringing people also over to the medicine side of taking pharmaceuticals? I just thought it was very interesting, and I'm looking forward to which way they're going to go with that, because again, that could be a game changer for Louisville. I don't know of any university that have taken that step in the United States. I don't know if U of L's the first or not, but it sounds like something I've never heard before.
Yeah, it's really, really, really exciting. And I'm hoping that they're able to incorporate I think they will incorporate that aspect into the actual grant that we're applying for. So it's going to be really exciting. But I didn't get the impression that this involved incorporating traditional medicine per se.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Dr. Akmal, so basically, that's one of the things men have problems with. And when we're talking about on this Father's Day with men's health, like I said, we did a 4-week series on mental health. And so trying to get this thing out to where men can understand this, that's a lot of stuff that they're dealing with is based on their diet. That's a hard piece to try to sell, specifically if he's not around or in the company of people like his family members who's supporting that. I mean, actually, he just almost have to be standing on his own and having the willpower to do it. Specific, if his girlfriend ain't doing it, his wife ain't doing it, and his family member is not in that field.
Well, let me go back into my history a little bit. When I was growing up, I used to eat everything. If it walked, if it flew, if it crawled, I ate it. And my health at one time was when I was about 17, 18 years old, my health was terrible. And when I went into the military, it even got worse. And when I came out of the military, I started to get into being a revolutionist. And one of the people that I met during that time was a brother, and he gave me a book called Back to Eden. And that started me on the journey. That was back in 1974. That started me on the journey. But before then, and I often tell a story about the pork chops. I was a cab driver. And so one day I was driving and I had a break. And so I went to this place that was famous for me. And I went in and I got 2 big juicy. Oh man, they had fat like a big dog on it. They was dripping with grease, on white bread. and I got in my cab and I commenced to eat my sandwich and driving to pick up a passenger. Well, the first passenger that I picked up whilst I was eating was a brother who was a Muslim. And so the brother got into the cab and told me where he wanted to go. And I'm eating a sandwich and the sandwich is just dripping. You could see it. And the brother said, "Brother, you need to quit eating that swine." And he said it about 3-4 times. And I told him, I said, "Brother, if you don't shut up, I'm going to put your ass out. Don't talk about my food." So the brother kept running his mouth. I pulled over to the curb and I told him, I said, "Get the hell out." That's how rough it was with me eating that kind of food. After I learned back to eating, what happened was that's when everything changed. Now, it changed because of the fact that God sent that angel and I was listening. But it changed because of the fact that I wanted to change. You see, and and that's how change happens. Nobody can make you change. You have to have that will to want to change.
Right.
In order for the change to happen. You know, brothers, your woman, your queen can say to you, baby, you need to stop eating that. I'm not going to buy it no more. Okay, you don't buy it, I'm going to buy it and bring it in the house. You know, she hides it from you. Until you decide that you want to change and you want to deal with the change of her love, because that's about love.
Right.
We got to understand that when a woman come to you and say, baby, don't eat them crackers like that. Here, I got something else for you to eat. And that's love. That's pure love. And so you got to deal with the change of that, because if you do the change of that, what happens, that increases your lifespan, because she wants you around. You see, you know, we sometimes get set in our ways and say, man, I ain't eating that. But we need to make that change. And with the garbage of food that we have today, and you know, somebody told me I shouldn't say the food is garbage. Listen, if you go up in the 50s and you eating food now, there's a big change. Big change. I mean, we got to search around to be able to get a watermelon that has seeds.
Right. Yeah.
You know, when I grew up, we used to have watermelon seed spitting contests.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're looking at GMOs. We're looking at hybrids. You know, the thing that we need to make sure happens is this: that we take in nutritious food. We eat foods in their season. We eat them in their proper combination so that we can maintain our health and our wellness. We need to be able to make sure that every day your bowels move and there's no odor. So that, you know, someone just said they had mucus in their bowels. That says that you got mucus in your system. That means that your body needs to be cleaned out. See, that's like, there's no such thing as allergy. There's an allergic reaction.
Okay.
But there's no allergies. What's happening is the body's saying, I'm full of waste and I need to be cleaned out. And if you understand when it happens during the spring and the fall. Summer and winter, it doesn't happen. When it happens in the summer and the winter time, that's because your body's overloaded.
So an allergy is almost like a detox. The body's trying to get rid of something. Wow.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. So that's why I have, and John, you've been part of that. Each season, I get people to fast. That's why the program that's coming up this week coming is to get you to have an understanding how to go about cleaning and fortifying your cells. Because if we do this on a seasonal basis, like the lower animals do, the lower animals, each season, they change their food. Okay? We eat the same food that we ate during the winter or during the fall, which can cause us to have toxins. People don't deal with that. From a Chinese perspective, if you understand the Chinese, them onions getting you, ain't they? I'll be over for lunch.
It's lunch at this point.
I do listen. I do understand, but one of the good things about them onions is that they got sulfur, and the sulfur will clean the body.
Yeah.
See? So when we start looking at the factor of eating in the seasons, specifically like we're going into summer, this is a cleaning season. This is a season for nourishing. This is the season to nourish the body. So you would put in things like onions and leeks and cruciferous vegetables, so that the body starts to clean. when we start looking at food, you know, we have to understand that first is that digestion begins in your mind.
I like to say something. You guys talking about mental health, and I think we've talked about, like, for men, just trying to give them a motivator to be healthy and to think about their woman and how their woman will want them to be around. But I think you guys hit on something with this whole mental health issue, because maybe the men, or just people in general, maybe they're not being selfish. Maybe they do have some type of mental or chemical imbalance that's causing them to be depressed, almost like a slow suicidal kind of thing, where they just don't really care, and they're just going to do whatever they want to do because they're trying to feed that depression. And so, yes, some people, they have to deal with that mental issue, because the mental is like really, really blocking them from doing the things that they know that they need to do. You know, when I spent my time doing nutrition success coaching, for the most part, people knew what they were supposed to do, and they knew what they weren't supposed to do. And a lot of times they just didn't do the right things because their mindset wasn't right. Or I think you guys use the word chi. Their chi wasn't right. Now I have this philosophy that I think there was something else I said, that the person, a person has to want to make a change. Something within has to say, I want different in my life. And I do believe that, but you have to take it from a perspective. Of course, you do have to do some teaching. You have to teach people what to eat, what not to eat, when to eat, even how frequent to eat. So that, and you can put together a plan for them. You could even cook their food, but you also have to tap into their mind. And I coined a term. I don't know I think this is just something I made up, but it'd be interesting to do a literature search and see if someone else has done this. But it's called mind regulation, where, and again, the person does, like you said, brother, that they do have to have a willingness to change. Now, they may not be 100% on board, but give me 10% of you. Give me 10% willingness, and we can go to the next level. So I don't do this anymore, so don't call me to ask me to be your nutrition success coach, but kind of inspiring those who are in this field and doing this work is that you're going to need to sit down with your clients and then get into their minds, get into their heads, tell them things like, what I need you to do is to literally strip butt naked, get in front of that mirror, and figure out how it is that you want your body to be. Forget everybody else. What do you want for your body? And start to visualize how you want yourself to be. The mind is a very powerful thing. And as you get it in your mind how you want your body to be, other things will begin to align. You don't believe me? Try it out. Literally every day, get in front of the mirror, butt naked, and start to visualize how you want your body to be. The other thing is that you have to allow people or help them to establish some type of what they call a smart goal, something that's very specific, it's measurable, it's achievable, it's realistic, and it's time bound. I had to deal with people that literally had about 100 pounds that they had to lose. So it would be unrealistic for me to allow them to come up with a goal that they want to become skinny in 90 days. Like, that's just not going to happen. Like, it's going to take you a year or two to reach your ultimate goal. But what I do have them do, this is past tense, I don't do this work anymore, but maybe I will in the near future, you know. But anyway, but it'll be more on a professional level affiliated with my research. But yeah, you need to like tell people, okay, you know, but when you achieve your goal, I need you to get into your mind, get into your happy place, and figure out how are you going to feel when you reach that goal. And when you reach that goal, how are you going to reward yourself? Allow people to, you know how like when Michael Jackson would perform, and at the either toward the end of his performance or even in the middle of it, like he would just stop, like literally just stop and just let it sizzle. That's what people need to do when they're trying to transition, when they're trying to have some type of transformative action in terms of their health behavior. They need to get into their minds. Their coaches need to help them get into their mind and allow them to sizzle. That's the word that Michael Jackson would use. You need to sizzle in that moment of bliss, that moment where, wow, yes, I've accomplished my goal. How do you feel? And when people can get into that space where they can feel like they can have that feeling of like when they've shed those unwanted pounds, when they're able to get into that dress or those pants that they've been wanting to get into without feeling so uncomfortable and pulling down here and there, and, you know, just feeling really awkward about their body. Or just simple things like, you know, there was one client that I had, and she wound up sharing with me that it did make her feel uncomfortable that when she would have to get on a plane, that she was taking up not just one full seat, but she was taking up 1.5 seats. That was embarrassing for her. You know, not me telling her that was embarrassing. That was her talking. Also, things like, you know, just wanting to be there for their small school age children and being able to play with them. Like, people have to be able to make some type of connection between their healthy behavior or unhealthy behavior and how it impacts the people around them, especially the little people, the children. What else can I say? I'm gonna pause there.
Okay. You know, one of the things I wonder. Go ahead, Doc.
You know, when I work with my patients, I do a thing called stop. And stop is stop, think, organize, and proceed. Because and it's like you said, Doc, if you can get a person to stop and think about what it is that's critical to them, and then they organize all of everything around them, they can proceed and have the progress that they're looking for. You know, our issue, one of our biggest issues in this society is that we want everything quick, fast, and in a hurry.
Microwave.
Right. And when we start looking at the factor of our health, well, you know, that cancer didn't just show up yesterday.
Right.
That cancer been there for a while. It's just been slowly growing to the point where it says, yo, baby, let's party. I'm here now. Yeah. You know, I mean, and then we think that we need to get a quick fix. You know, one of the pieces that I deal with people, you know, people come to me when they damn near dead sometime. Because of the fact that they let it grow and go and go and go and go. and the piece of that is the fact that as men, you know, we get a pain and it's like, oh, it ain't nothing. I'm gonna keep on doing what I'm doing. When a woman gets a pain, the first thing she does is pick up the phone and call a physician. We get encouraged, and the sister said that we get encouraged by a woman to go see the doctor. And the woman got to be jumping up and down on the table, you know, up and down every minute and nagging us to go to the doctor. And the reality of that is the fact that we need to take the initiative the moment we feel a pain, you know, and especially if we do not understand or know what's causing that pain. In traditional, going back to traditional Chinese medicine, when you have pain, that means that there's no qi flow. Tongzi butang butang tongzi, which means that when there's qi flow, there's no pain. When there's no qi flow, there's pain, because of the fact that now you have stagnation there. And that stagnation that you have there is not causing anything to move. So now the body's not getting no qi, it's not getting no blood, and it's not getting any energy to deal with it. And so we have to begin to look at that as men. We have to also begin to regulate what we're eating. You know, we should not be really eating out. And if there's someone on here who owns a restaurant, I apologize for that. but the truth is the truth.
The truth is the truth.
You know, we should not be eating out for several reasons. One is we don't know who's fixing our food. We don't know what they're putting in our food. We don't know their energy that they're putting in our food.
Right.
So, I mean, here we go. All four of us go to lunch together to a restaurant, and the cook and his wife just had a beef. So now the cook got all of that stored up energy from the beef with him and his wife, and as he's cooking the food, he's putting that energy into the food.
Exactly.
Here we are sitting there having a good time, laughing, joking, talking, all that. And we eat the food and we wind up arguing with each other. Okay, because of the fact that we done got the cook's energy in our food that done penetrated our body.
Wow.
We don't think about that. There's been times when I've gone into places, and as soon as I walked in, I walked out. Or I've been with people and I tell them, I said, y'all go on and order. I can't eat nothing here. Because of the factor of the energy of it. See, so we don't look at that. That plays a large part of everything. You know, when we talk about mental illness and we talk about depression specifically, depression is anger turned inside out. And when people come to see me with depression, my first question to them is, who are you angry with? See, because that's the liver issue. The liver's emotions are anger, anxiety, depression, suppression, frustration, jealousy. So that when any of those elements come up, the first thing I look at is what's going on with the liver. That's like in the summer. The summer is about love, joy. Now the imbalances is about impatience and hatred and hatred. So when you start looking at that, and that's the way that the Chinese deal with it in terms of the emotions. They say that the 7 emotions, the 7 evils, that's what they call them. The 7 evils are what causes disease, which are the emotions. I had a lady that I was one of my patients. Her husband, I didn't know until a few days ago, had cancer. He came with her. She was trying to get him to see me. I was working on her. And so she said to me, my husband had cancer And he told me that he didn't give a damn. He was just going to let it do what it did. And so she called me. She was supposed to see me, I think, on Thursday. And she called me Thursday morning and said, he's cold and he's non-responsive. And I told her, I said, well, the only thing I can tell you, call 911. Okay. But us men, we have to get out of that. You know, we have to begin to eat right. Because the foods that we're eating is causing our brain not to function to its optimum.
Right. Let me ask this. Now, let me make a statement as we get ready to close. It's very interesting. You know, there's a lot of information. I kind of sometimes wonder how we got here into this condition to where we don't understand the basic foods and nutritions of how to eat. We have been so far removed from eating right. It's kind of crazy that we have to go through this. A lot of times I hear when people hear information, they hear one thing comes out, there's a study comes out, said this, and then there's another study comes out, and then someone else says this. And so some people just saying, fuck it. I just, you know, because they're hearing so much information, they don't know where to start, and become so overwhelming that they just continue to eat the crappy food. And that's why I wonder how we got here. How do we get so far deep, so dumbed down on eating healthy that when we start hearing the information, it becomes too much because it's too much over here and there. So as we get ready to close, I want to kind of address that, both of y'all, as we close out. And then at the end, of course, I want, you know, to y'all to say what y'all doing, what's going on with y'all lately, and where can we find y'all? Okay, we can start with you, Dr. LaCreis.
Yeah. How did we get here? You know, I was born in the late 60s, and I remember my very first time, and I say it with a smile, when I went to McDonald's. It was, you know, I know, sounds funny, but I don't remember McDonald's tasting and being the way it is today. Like now, I wouldn't even eat from McDonald's if I was starving, you know, because I know that meat is not real. So I do in part blame the fast food industry. Also, you know, I think it was probably in the 90s when they came out with, okay, let's just supersize everything, you know. So, and then another thing happened. Well, there was a positive shift when the Obamas were in administration, and they were making, and made largely due to the efforts of Michelle Obama, where, you know, she was making some really good strides with healthy eating, especially among school age children, getting people to, you know, do gardens and stuff like that. Like we have to get back to basics. But anyway, so there was a slight shift, even like just trying to be, how do you say, be transparent in terms of what's in the food, the labeling, so that people can make conscious decisions. But then we had a switch in the administration, where now it's acceptable to have even more salt and even more sugar and high corn fructose in the foods, which can really wreak havoc in people's metabolism and everything. And then, to be honest, you know, there's no telling what they put in the food. I consider myself to eat fairly healthy, healthier than probably more than 80% of the people here in the United States. But when I had an opportunity to go to West Africa in 2018, like that was just like next level for me, because for instance, they don't have seedless watermelon over there. They have watermelon with seeds, and it is the watermelon that I remember having when I was a kid. But trying to find watermelon with seeds is like really, really, really hard. Also in West Africa, the food that I had there, and I didn't really restrict myself in terms of my food. Like I even indulge in beef. and
different type of beef there. That's for sure.
right, but they're not putting hormones in
Correct.
their meat. They're not putting antibiotics. And let me tell you, my bowel movements were more regular than they have ever been in my
Correct.
entire life.
Yeah.
And I really attribute that to them not putting antibiotics, hormones, pesticides in their food. It's all natural. You know, and we just have to do the best. Now, am I going to say, you know, just go on and eat everything organic? Maybe not, because that's kind of cost prohibitive. So you just try to do the best that you can do. The easy thing to remember is the acronym CRAP. Get the crap out of your diet. Get the carbonated drinks out of your diet, along with sugar, juices that are laced with sugar. Get rid of all of the refined foods, foods with additives, and foods with preservatives. Just try to eat a clean diet. You can join my group. It's called, it's on Facebook, Holistically Improve You. I think I created that group over 5 years ago. It has a lot of content in there, my own recipes, just recipes that I found on the internet. And then there's also another group, and this woman is a lot more organized than I am, but it's called Clean Eating. Look her up. She's everywhere. She's on Facebook. She has a Facebook group. She has, I think, I know she's on Pinterest. It's a white woman, but I love her concept, and she has some really nice, easy recipes that follow this whole thing about get rid of the crap from your diet. Eat clean.
Dr. Akmal.
So we got to this point because of money. That's the bottom line. And everybody's coming out with stuff because folks is trying to get money. You know, I mean, since we've been on, there's probably been about 50,000 products that have come out since we've been on. Because people understand, when I first got into this, there weren't many health food stores at all. When in 1974, you really had to go basically to the white community. I grew up in Massachusetts, up south, and you had to go. I had to go to Cambridge to go to the health food store, because there were none that were in the black neighborhood at first, and then the brothers started to form health food stores in the community. Now you have Whole Paycheck, you know, and a whole bunch of other folks who are selling food and products for health. You know, we have to understand that when you're going to take a product, and I tell my patients this, even on my products, when you're going to take a product, you need to do the research. You know, if you're going to eat some food, you need to understand what the chemical relationship of that is. Because when you understand the chemical relationship, then you have the understanding of whether or not from that food are you going to get the nutrients that you're looking for, or are you going to wind up having issues because of the fact that the food is undigestible? That's why I wrote the book, Food Combining for Optimum Health. That's why I teach that to people, so that people have an understanding of how you put foods together. You know, I cringe a lot when I look at shows and see people and they putting fruits and vegetables together. That's a bad combination, because fruits, the job of fruits are to provide you with cleansing. Vegetables are to provide you with nourishment. And so when you balance them together, you get what you need. When you don't balance them, then what happens is you wind up having issues. You know, when people, and I said it earlier, you know, people who are vegans, they need to check their blood to make sure that their blood can house that. Because if not, now they need to put in supplements, B12, vitamin D, calcium, magnesium, because of the factor that they're not getting that.
Correct.
The other piece of that is the factor that if you're going to eat organic food, I normally tell people, you know, go to the local farmers market. Or if you're eating organic food from one of the supermarkets, then what you need to do is find out where they get their organic food from. Because let's look at this logically. So if I live here in Maryland now, and I'm gonna eat some food that's organic from the West Coast, the reality of that is the fact that did they pick it at its maturity, or did they pick it immature? So that when it got to me, what happened was it has shelf life. See, because it's about the shelf life. Because they can't sell rotten food.
Correct.
So it's about the shelf life. So if you're eating organic, I said the first place that you should go is a farmer's market and eat local. Because the local food not only does it have the nutrients that your body needs, but it has the energy that your body needs for that area. See, we got to understand that. That's why we count calories. We're the only animals in God's country, in God's life, that counts calories. Yeah. Tell me another animal that counts calories. There is none, because they distinctively know how to eat foods. We don't know how to do that. And so because we don't know how to do that, we're sick. When's the last time you heard of a deer having diabetes? Okay, or a beaver having cancer? Unless we've domesticated them.
Yes, that's right.
Then I mean, that's like when you give a cat cow's milk. They wind up with leukemia. Because of the fact that you're putting in a substance that their body can't do nothing with. So it causes mucus, and that mucus now begins to go to the factor of it causing cancer and other things.
You see dogs with human issues now. People who domesticate dogs, they got dogs now and got human issues.
That's right. You know, Dr. Sebi Ibaye, may he rest well in peace. You know, Dr. Sebi talked about the fact that we had too much mucus in our system. And he was absolutely right about that. You know, our body is full of mucus, and that's what's killing us. And so, you know, my piece is that, you know, we should really begin to tame our elbow. We should understand what we're eating, how we're eating, and when we're eating it, in what season we're eating it, and what time of day we're eating it. So that we can get digestion to function to its optimum for us, you know, and with that, I would say, you know, find a recipe. I don't give recipe because there's so many of them out there. Find recipes that support what it is that you eat. I eat one meal a day. I mean, and I've been doing that for close to 40, 50 years. But my body likes it. You know, now only time it's real interesting because the only time that I eat more is when I'm on vacation or I'm going out some. You know, I'm out on vacation. Like if I get on a ship, oh listen, I'm eating every meal and the late buffet. You know what I mean? But when I'm home, my body says, "No, we ain't doing all of that."
Okay, so where can we find you and what you got coming up with your class?
So you can find me at www.healenarts.net. Again, www.healenarts.net. On Wednesday, I have a diabetes class every month. I do a diabetes class every Monday. I've got a diabetes class that's going on now. The next diabetes class is the second Monday of July. On Wednesday of this coming week, I have a summer healing program, the power of healing for summer. That program is this Wednesday and the following Wednesday. During that program, what people will learn is they'll learn how to create the balance in the season, and they'll learn how to increase their health and the circulation of their body. Go ahead, sister. I see you have to go.
No, I just wanted to say, I guess I was encouraged to put in a plug for myself.
Yes.
Anyway,
Go ahead.
so you can find me typically on Facebook. Feel free to follow me on Facebook. I did start a YouTube channel, but I need a certain number of followers so I can start going live. So I hope the people listening that they will follow me on YouTube under my handle Glam Amor Therapy.
Okay.
That's GLAMAMOR in therapy. I don't have much content up there yet, but I'm gonna be more diligent about making sure that I put my content there because I feel like Facebook doesn't always appreciate me. The other thing that I wanted to say is that I'm going to start gearing up again with my body butter. And I know we're talking about men's health, but men need to keep their skin healthy too.
That's right.
So make sure you look out for me at the World Festival. I'm going to be out there again this year selling my body butter out in the heat.
Okay.
To make sure that you have moistened and supple skin. So make sure you come and support me and my business. And yeah, that's that.
Get a chance, put that in the comment, the information there, and boom, definitely we will share that and get the information out. Listen, we love having y'all two on here. We have a great conversation.
I'd like to people can go to my YouTube channel. It's Akmal Muwwakkil. I've got a lot of content up there as well. And Facebook, Facebook kicked me off. So yeah, I don't know why they kicked me off, but they kicked me off. So I'm working
a lot of people off
on Facebook, but you also can find me on LinkedIn. And I've got a new piece that's coming out called Dr. Akmal Speaks.
Okay.
So look out. So look out for that, where there'll be some good content. And my piece is about training. I've got close to 50 years of health information in my head, and I'm in the third quarter of my life. And so I'm working to train and get it out so that people can continue to heal.
Yeah, that's extremely important.
And
definitely, guys,
be well and enjoy your life as you peacefully walk in health. Thank
you, Joe. Anything to say as we close?
Hey man, can you guys hear me? Okay.
Yeah,
we can.
I've had you in. I've been watching you guys right here on my phone. I'm moving around, and I just want to say I appreciate everything that you guys bring to the table. This has been extremely enlightening, and I hope that for the people who have been watching and the people that will replay this over and over throughout the week, we just hats off to you both and thank you, because we all could just sit down and just focus on ourselves and never share a nothing. But you get more out of life, and you're blessed even more abundantly when you do share truth out here. So, with that being said, this has been another episode of the Tipping Point Morning Show. We appreciate you. Folks out there, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm a it's Father's Day, so I got a couple comedic Father's Day things to play, and then we'll sign on out. Everything copacetic?
Everything copacetic. I appreciate everyone for coming on, and definitely it was an awesome nugget dropping show.
All right, don't go nowhere,
Bravo.
y'all. Let's watch a couple of these Father's Day videos right here. This is pretty funny.
Mother's Day come around, fathers go in their pocket deep. Go in their pocket deep. Hey, I want to give my mama something. You cash that money out. Father's Day is the worst holiday in the world. I've done the research. I already know. Let me tell you something. Mother's Day is the second most celebrated holiday in the world. Christmas is first. So that means it's Jesus, then your mama. You know what Father's Day fall at? Number 20. I can't think of 18 other holidays. Do you realize Halloween is number 6? Does that mean ghosts and goblins go before fathers? Arbor Day is number 13. I don't even know what that is. I just know it come before me. That's crazy. Columbus Day is number 16. Celebrating Columbus Day is like celebrating somebody finding money in your house. Where you get that $50 from? I discovered it in your kitchen. Mother's Day come around, fathers go in their pocket deep. Go in their pocket deep. Hey, I want to give my mama something. You cash that money out. You know what mothers do? Hey, I want to get daddy something. Well, go in that car. It's some change in my little cup holder in there. Don't nobody even have a sale for Father's Day. Who has a Father's Day sale? Mother's Day sale is like 30 of them. Everybody have Mother's Day sale. Don't nobody have no Father's Day sale. Who has Father's Day sale? The dollar store. That's how you get water hose and jumper cables for fathers. And the stores know this because now the store got a little trick for fathers. They make little packages where a little box. You give you suspenders, socks, and a shirt. One box. And you know what kids do? They give you that stuff throughout the year. They give you that shirt for Father's Day, them socks for your birthday, and then they just randomly give you something else as, you know, they think about it. It's crazy. Father's Day sucks. And I'm a father. I did all this work to be a father for it to suck.
Hey, that's some funny stuff, man. But until next week, same place, same time. Love you, brother. Love you, Akmal. Love you, sis LaCreis. We'll see y'all another time.
Peace.
All right.
You are listening to The Tipping Point Show with your host, Mr. Just Ask Joe, John Yeah. Right here on WLOU. Streaming.